Hi everyone, Marina and Andre here with the Hiking Sparrow. I hope life is treating you well. Today we are taking you to a place you probably wouldn't find unless you were looking for it. Robson's Arizona Mining World. It's located about 100 miles west of Phoenix, hidden deep in the Harcover Mountains. We found it the way you find many places in Arizona, almost by accident, while exploring on Google Maps. Just a dot on the map, a dusty road, and silence. The kind of silence that makes you think nothing has ever happened there. But in Arizona, that's rarely true. Because behind that silence, there is always a story. The drive out here is long. First along US 60 West, then Arizona 71 North, and finally a turn onto a dirt road that's very easy to miss. Look for a figure of an Indian on horseback on the west side of Arizona 71, and you would not miss it. Once you turn, the road gets rough. There is a deep you won't see unless you are paying attention. So make sure to slow down. And if your car has low clearance, most likely you are not making it the last couple of miles. Honestly, that feels appropriate because places like this aren't meant to be easy. When we got there the first time, we didn't know what to expect. And then suddenly it was there. A one street town pulled straight out of another time. Not abandoned, not preserved behind glass, but rebuilt piece by piece. Because Arizona wasn't just one mine, it was hundreds. At one point, the mountains across the state were filled with mining camps, places that appeared almost every night overnight. A few buildings, a saloon, a store, and the mine. That's all it took. But just as quickly as they appeared, they disappeared. When the ore ran out, people left. What remained were empty buildings, rusting equipment, and silence. Today, there are hundreds, maybe even thousands, of ghost towns scattered across Arizona. Some still stand, others have completely vanished into the desert. And this place is one of the few that was brought back. There is something about the desert. Time doesn't move here the way it does in the city. It stretches, it settles into the rocks, the dust, the silence, and windy, dusty roads. Places like this don't feel abandoned, they feel paused, as if everything that once happened here is still somewhere nearby, just quieter. And if you stay long enough, you start to hear it. This land was once the gold leaf mine opened in 1917 by the Wesley Rush family. In 1924, Ned Creighton acquired the mine and renamed it the Nellie Meda in honor of the two Rush daughters. The mine operated until 1942 when the federal government shut down gold mining with the onset of World War II. As we learned from history, this wasn't just a local decision. On October 8, 1942, the US government issued War Production Board Order L 208, shutting down gold mines across the country. Gold was no longer considered essential. The war needed something else. It needed copper, zinc, tungsten. It needed materials used for ammunition, weapons, and military equipment. Miners were redirected, machines were reassigned, even explosives were reserved for war production. At the same time, many workers were drafted or left for higher paying defense jobs, creating a severe labor shortage. Gold mines, once full of life, were suddenly draining resources needed elsewhere. And just like that, they were ordered to stop. Operations ceased, only minimal maintenance was allowed. And for many mines, including this one, it was the end. And just like that, all went quiet. For decades, only the desert animals roamed around here. Until 1979, when Charles Robson purchased the mine after the passing of its longtime caretaker and owner, Harold Mason. Instead of letting this place disappear, Charles chose to rebuild it. In the mid 1980s, Charles and his wife Jerry began a long journey to preserve Arizona's mining history, a history slowly fading into desert dust, like hundreds of forgotten mines across the state. They restored mining equipment collected by Wilbur Johnson, a mining engineer who had worked in many of Arizona's old mining camps. They traveled across the desert, visiting old towns, searching for equipment, buildings, and pieces of everyday life. They brought them here, reassembled them, gave them a second life. What started as a restoration became something much bigger: a town, a street, an opera house, a church, a 3-story hotel rising out of the desert, not just a museum. A place you could walk into and feel like you stepped into someone else's life. On January 19, 1992, this world opened its gates to first visitors. It became a destination for weddings, corporate events, birthday parties, and travelers like us. Once again, the desert filled with voices, laughter, and campfire stories about days long gone. Charles Robson passed away in 2002. In 2008, the property was taken over by Western Destinations. And in 2012, fire nearly erased everything. It started in one of the hotel rooms, most likely due to an electrical overload by one of the guests. It could have spread, it should have spread, but luckily for us, it didn't, because that day there was no wind, which is rare in the desert. That stillness saved this town. The hotel burned to the ground and unfortunately has never been rebuilt, but everything else remained. It's still standing, still telling its story. During the tour, we learned about a hike to petroglyphs in a nearby canyon, about 1.5 miles one way. Easy hike, they said. So we decided to come back in the winter when temperatures are in the 70s instead of the 90s. Way much better for a 3-mile hike, right? We came back in January and we tried, but we didn't make it. That story is coming in part 2. And now enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you for traveling with us today. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.